March 18, 2022, Millstone Heights, Pennsylvania. A small town where life moved slow, where neighbors waved, and the biggest news was usually the Friday night football game. But that night, something went terribly wrong. 23-year-old Ian Wallace was headed to a friend's house for a casual get-together. He typed the address into his phone, tapped Start Route, and began driving into the quiet suburbs. It should have been simple. It should have been safe. But somewhere between two left turns and a missed street sign, Ian made a mistake. Instead of pulling into 131 Sparrow Lane, he pulled into 113. A wrong house. A simple error. One he would never walk away from. At 8:23 p.m., a call came into 911. A man, voice trembling, said, yeah. Someone came to my door. He's not moving. I think he's dead. Officers arrived 7 minutes later. Body cams captured a haunting scene. Ian, lying motionless on the porch, his phone still lit in his hand, directions frozen on the wrong address. Blood pooled beneath his head. No broken windows, no signs of a struggle, just the still, eerie silence of a life ended far too soon. The homeowner, Gerald Harlow, 52 years old, told officers he had shouted at Ian to leave, said Ian acted strange, refused to leave, and then just fell, slipped, hit his head. That's all. No confrontation, no violence. An accident, Gerald insisted. But neighbors weren't so sure. One woman said she heard yelling. Another swore she saw someone shove Ian before he fell. The autopsy revealed a fatal blow to the back of the skull, blunt force trauma. Consistent with a fall? Or with being pushed? And then came the first twist. Footage recovered from a neighbor's doorbell camera showed a figure confronting Ian at the door. A figure taller and thinner than Gerald Harlow. A figure dressed in dark clothing. And yet, Gerald maintained, I was alone. I didn't touch him. Police dug deeper and found unsettling pieces of Gerald's past. Domestic violence accusations, restraining orders, a brother, Daniel Harlow, a drifter known for erratic behavior, last seen in Millstone Heights just 2 weeks before Ian's death. Rumors swirled through the town like smoke. Was Daniel staying there, hiding in the house? Was Gerald covering for someone? And then, 3 months later, another grisly discovery. In the woods behind the Sparrow Lane neighborhood, searchers uncovered a body, wrapped in tarp. Skeletal remains hidden beneath fallen leaves. Dental records confirmed what investigators feared. It was Daniel Harlow, dead 4 months. Dead long before Ian ever knocked on that door. If Daniel was dead, who or what had confronted Ian? Who had stood in the doorway that night, just out of reach of the porch light? Whose shadowy figure loomed over Ian moments before he died? Gerald stopped cooperating. No new suspects, no new leads, just one man dead, another man silent, and a town drowning in rumors. As for Ian Wallace, his family still waits for answers. His GPS still showed he was only 3 houses away from safety. 3 houses from surviving. One wrong door, one wrong knock, and a mystery no one can explain. If Daniel Harlow was already dead, then who was on the porch? Was there someone else living inside 113 Sparrow Lane? And what dark secrets was Gerald Harlow so desperate to hide? 3 weeks after the discovery of Daniel Harlow's remains, investigators returned to 113 Sparrow Lane with a new search warrant, this time looking for anything at all, that could explain what happened the night Ian Wallace knocked on the wrong door. They tore through the house from attic to basement. Hidden behind the drywall in the basement, they found something strange. A hollowed-out room. Small. Cramped. No windows. Just a single cot, a portable heater, and a rusted lock on the inside of the door. Whoever had been living there wasn't meant to leave easily. Police found fingerprints, dozens of partials, but not Daniel Harlow's. They ran the prints through every database. Nothing. No matches. Whoever had been staying inside that secret room was invisible. Anonymous. It was almost as if they didn't exist at all. And in the dust on the floor, investigators found a cell phone. Ancient, battered, dead. When technicians managed to power it on, It revealed only one photo saved inside. Blurry. A photo of Ian Wallace standing at the porch, taken seconds before his death. The timestamp on the photo was exactly 8:22 p.m., 1 minute before the 911 call. Gerald Harlow refused to answer questions. His lawyer insisted he knew nothing about the room, nothing about the phone. But the evidence told a different story. Police confronted Gerald with the photo. He simply stared at it for several long seconds, then said one thing and one thing only. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. Meanwhile, town gossip took on a life of its own. Some said Gerald had been harboring a stranger. Others believed something even darker, that Gerald had willingly allowed someone to stay, someone dangerous, in exchange for protection, money, or something worse. Ian's parents pleaded for answers, begging the community to come forward with any information, no matter how small. But Millstone Heights grew quieter, colder, as if the town itself was trying to forget. Then another break, if you could call it that. A security expert reviewing the doorbell footage noticed something everyone else had missed. A second figure. A shadow moving just inside the house, behind the main figure who confronted Ian. Meaning whoever answered the door that night wasn't alone. Search teams combed the woods again, but nothing else was found. Interviews with locals led to chilling rumors. People speaking of a man in dark clothes wandering the neighborhood in the weeks before Ian's death, knocking on random doors late at night, asking strange questions, leaving before police could arrive. No fingerprints, no trace, like a ghost. Then, another terrifying discovery. In a dilapidated storage unit rented under Gerald Harlow's name, police found several items that raised even more questions. Old Polaroid photos of different young men, each standing awkwardly at doorways. All strangers to Millstone Heights. All now missing. Missing persons reports matching towns as far as Ohio, New Jersey, even Maine. And in the corner of the storage unit, another old phone. Dead, its battery long corroded. But this one had been wrapped carefully in layers of duct tape. Preserved. Protected. Hidden. Whatever was on that phone, investigators said, could blow the case wide open. But for now, no answers. Just a dead man. A brother long dead before Ian ever arrived. A secret room no one was supposed to find. And the growing sense that the house on Sparrow Lane had been a trap for a very long time. And then, Gerald Harlow disappeared. Out on bail, under surveillance, awaiting trial for obstruction. Gone. Car abandoned near the edge of town. No note. No signs of a struggle. Just vanished into the night, as if swallowed whole by the very darkness he helped create. The last thing police found before the trail went cold was Gerald's wallet. Inside, a single piece of paper. No credit cards. No ID. Just one handwritten message. Knock knock. You're next. The investigation is still ongoing. The FBI is now involved. New bodies may be connected. But the question remains, who was inside that house the night Ian Wallace knocked? Who took that photo? And who is still out there? 2 months after Gerald Harlow's disappearance, the investigation into Ian Wallace's death had stalled. No suspects, no witnesses, and worst of all, no Gerald. But then, in early September, a new 911 call shook Millstone Heights awake. A man stumbled into the emergency room at St. Agnes Hospital, covered in bruises, dehydrated, incoherent. He had no ID, no phone, no wallet. Just a single name scrawled across his arm in black ink. Ian Wallace. Doctors alerted the police immediately. When officers questioned the man, he could barely speak, muttering fragments, unfinished sentences. But 3 words kept repeating over and over. Wrong door. Wrong door. Wrong door. Fingerprint analysis confirmed it wasn't Gerald Harlow. This man was a total unknown. No criminal record. No missing persons report. No relatives stepping forward to claim him. Like he had been erased before he ever appeared. Investigators believed he might have been another victim, someone connected to the same sinister pattern. But the mystery only deepened when, during a medical exam, doctors found something embedded under his skin. Tiny. Metallic. A microchip. When tech experts scanned it, they uncovered a string of GPS coordinates. Locations spanning for different states. Every address linked to an unsolved missing persons case from the past 10 years. Every address tied back to a home where someone had simply opened the wrong door and was never seen again. Meanwhile, the contents of the phone found in Gerald's storage unit were finally decrypted. What they found was chilling. Hundreds of video clips, grainy, low quality, but unmistakable. Footage showing different men and women walking up to random homes. Footage of them knocking, waiting, fidgeting nervously. And in every single clip, a figure watching them, recording from inside the house, silent, hidden. In one clip dated just 3 weeks before Ian Wallace's death, a man resembling Gerald can be heard speaking off camera. "Don't fight it. Just let them open the door." But the most disturbing find wasn't a video. It was a list. A list labeled simply, "Scheduled arrivals," dates, names, GPS coordinates. And at the very bottom of the list, a name written in red ink. Ian Wallace. Someone had known Ian was coming before he ever set foot in Millstone Heights. Someone had been waiting. And yet, investigators couldn't figure out why. Ian wasn't involved in crime. He wasn't running from anything. He was just a kid. A kid who made a wrong turn. Weeks later, a chilling tip came in. A former house cleaner who once worked for Gerald called the police. She said she remembered something strange. A locked door in the basement she was never allowed to open. Heavy locks. Chains. She also remembered seeing someone inside the house once. A face peering out from the darkness of the stairwell. A face that wasn't Gerald's. A woman's face, pale, watching. But when asked why she never reported it, she simply said, "Gerald told me not to. Told me. If I ever talked, I'd end up at the wrong door too." Detectives re-examined everything. Photos, videos, fingerprints. They compared the blurry figure from the doorbell footage with the faces from the storage unit files. And slowly, a horrifying theory emerged. Maybe Gerald wasn't running a one-man operation. Maybe it wasn't just him. Maybe there was someone or something else orchestrating the whole thing. A larger network. A pattern of wrong knocks stretching back decades. Pattern hidden in plain sight. And then one final message arrived. A local journalist investigating the case received an unmarked envelope. Inside, a photo. A grainy, black and white image of Ian Wallace's face, staring into the camera. Not from the night he died, but from 2 weeks earlier. From his own backyard. Someone had been watching him long before he ever set foot in Millstone Heights. Long before he ever knocked on the wrong door. Which raises the question, was it really a mistake? Or was Ian Wallace chosen? Stay tuned for the chilling origins of the wrong door disappearances, secret messages hidden across states, and the horrifying realization that the next knock could be yours. As the investigation widened beyond Millstone Heights, FBI analysts began cross-referencing the addresses found on the hidden microchip. What they uncovered sent shockwaves through the task force. The wrong door incidents weren't random. They formed a pattern, a spiraling, deliberate trail connecting dozens of small towns across the Northeast and Midwest, all within a precise radius of major interstate highways. The victims varied: young, old, male, female, but one thing was constant. Each one had knocked on a door they weren't supposed to. Each one had been lured somehow, either through fake party invitations, misleading GPS coordinates, or simple human errors that may not have been accidents at all. In a sealed conference room in Quantico, agents reviewed what they now called the spiral map. At the center of the spiral, an abandoned mental health facility in rural New Hampshire. Closed since 1984. Officially condemned. But rumors claimed something else. That long after the building was shuttered, strange figures were seen in the windows. Lights flickering at odd hours. Vehicles arriving at night and disappearing before dawn. The decision was made. Federal raid. 17 agents. 2 tactical teams. Drones overhead. They moved in before sunrise. And what they found inside would haunt even the most seasoned investigators. The facility's interior was rotten with mold and decay. Long-forgotten medical equipment rusted into the walls. But in the basement, hidden behind false drywall, was a working surveillance center. Rows of ancient monitors wired to remote cameras. a map pinned to the wall, crisscrossed with red string, and dozens of VHS tapes labeled with a single word, arrivals. Each tape contained footage eerily similar to Ian Wallace's final moments. People knocking, people waiting, some pleading, others standing silently before being dragged inside by unseen hands. The tapes dated back to 1985. 37 years of wrong knocks. 37 years of vanished lives. But perhaps the most chilling discovery was found locked inside a small file cabinet. A collection of handwritten letters, all beginning the same way. Dear applicant, congratulations. You've been selected to help maintain the natural order. Your duties will include monitoring, recording, and processing arrivals. Failure to comply will result in reassignment. None of the letters were signed. No sender. No contact information. Just that same blood-red spiral symbol stamped at the bottom of each page. Investigators now believe Gerald Harlow was not acting alone, but was part of a secret network, trained and manipulated over decades. A network designed to harvest those who made one critical mistake: knocking on the wrong door. As the public began to learn fragments of the truth, fear swept through small-town America. Rumors exploded across social media. People claimed they saw strange vans parked outside their homes, claimed that GPS directions sent them to places that didn't exist, claimed that friends and neighbors had vanished after a simple wrong turn. And then it happened again. October 3, 2023, Littlefield, Vermont. 19-year-old Marissa Hale was driving home from a late-night study group when her GPS glitched, rerouting her through an unfamiliar neighborhood. She pulled into a driveway, walked up the porch steps, knocked, no answer, knocked again, texted her friends that she was lost, and then her phone went dark. When police arrived hours later, there was no sign of Marissa. No forced entry, no struggle, just one thing left behind: her phone, placed neatly on the welcome mat, and above it, burned into the wood of the front door, the same blood-red spiral. As agents reviewed Marissa's phone logs, they found a chilling discovery. Her last incoming call had come from an unknown number. The message left on her voicemail was barely audible. Just a raspy whisper repeating one phrase over and over: "Come inside. They're waiting." And now, new leads suggest something even more terrifying. There may be recruiters, people planted in towns across the country, waiting, watching, guiding lost travelers to their final destination. It's no longer just about knocking on the wrong door. It's about being led there. And the question everyone is now asking: who's next? Coming up in Part 2, witness testimonies from survivors who escaped, new evidence tying the spiral network to missing federal agents, and the desperate race to shut it down before more innocent lives vanish forever. Stay tuned.